If you're running ads for any sort of home service or local based company, whether it be your own company or your client's company, such as plumbers, HVAC, roofers, electricians, solar companies, whatever it is, you name it, 70% of your leads are likely coming through as phone calls and not form fills. And if you're not actually tracking those calls back to the original source, back to the keyword to see what keywords, what campaigns, and what ad platforms are driving your calls, then you really have no idea what's working and you're probably just optimizing blindly, spending and allocating budget blindly. I've been running ads for home service-based companies for the last 7 years, and we have a portfolio of 60 plus home service clients or clients that are actually in the home service industry. Today, I'm going to show you the tool we use to track all of our calls and all of our forms for all of our clients and how we tackle this problem, and give you my honest take on whether or not CallRail is actually worth it to you or your clients. Okay, so what actually is CallRail? CallRail does both call tracking, as you probably guessed, and form tracking, built for both marketers and business owners. Meaning, if you are an agency, it's perfect for you and all your clients, or if you're looking and you're watching this as a business owner yourself, perhaps you run a painting company, a solar company, a roofing company, or who knows what company, then it's also perfect for you. It gives you the ability to track all of your calls, all of your forms, and even text messages too, as of recently, and you can see what's exactly driving customers. As you can see on this page here, it does a pretty good job giving you a quick breakdown of what's happening. So obviously you can see what drives customers by source, by campaign, by keyword, and this isn't for if you're just running ads, right? It's also for those who are trying to track their leads across Google Business Profile, Facebook ads, Google ads, Microsoft ads, Yelp ads, local service ads, as well as individual campaigns. If you're running meta ads, you probably have 2-3 campaigns. If you're running Google, you might have 1 campaign, you might have 5 campaigns, right? Someone who also runs Google ads full time, you have Google Map ads, Google search ads, and you have Google local service ads. So when you're allocating budget across all 3, you want to know which of those is getting you the most bang for your buck, so you can set up individual tracking numbers to see which specific platform or which specific campaigns are driving you actual leads. Even further, it gives you another layer of visibility, so you don't only just see the volume, but you can also tie back the quality, right? It helps to know which campaign is driving higher quality leads than others, right? So if you're just looking at flat numbers where you see campaign A generated 20 phone calls, campaign B generated 40 phone calls, that's good, but we always want to take it another step as a marketer or as a business owner, right? You want to be able to see which campaign is driving higher quality, revenue, conversion, purchases, and so on, right? So now you can actually see not only did campaign A generate 20 phone calls, but of those 20 phone call leads, 10 of them turned to opportunities, right? So you're able to take it a step further and actually see the opportunity, the conversation, the revenue behind it, the call recording, the transcript, and actually who was this caller? What was their phone number? How long did the call last? And so on. Now, this isn't a step-by-step tutorial, but I want to give you a glance at what are the features that I have to offer, and honestly what I use as an agency owner the most for myself and for my clients. So right here, we're inside actually one of a client's sub-account, and you can see how we kind of have it set up and how we have it organized, right? So if we just kind of move top to bottom here, you can see the main core thing we're going to have here are a couple tracking numbers. So this allows us to track different phone numbers and different sources. So the first one here is called the DNI pool, or as some people call it, a website pool, or simply a dynamic number insertion pool. This is in a nutshell how you track calls from your website. So as a marketer and a Google Ads agency owner, we're only tracking calls for people who call through Google Ads. Now, as a business or as another agency owner who's on the other end of this watching this video, you can configure this however you want. So you can essentially go in here and you can configure where calls should be forwarded to, if you should do call recording, if there should be any greeting, a whisper message. There's so many customization options. You can really make this as complex or as simple as you need to. For us, we utilize most all these features. We even enable and forward text messaging for our clients, as you know, our clients kind of all use text and phone calls, both in terms of sales and reception, so it helps them. Then, of course, you're able to give CallRail some more instructions on what to track, right? So for our DNI pool, we're using what's called Google Ads standard tracking, where we're basically telling CallRail, the platform, hey, I only want to track and record calls from people from our Google Ads. Now, maybe some people want to track everything, so they would select all, or perhaps you want to track only meta ads, only Microsoft ads, or pretty much everything except organic. So it's fully up to you. How do you customize it? For ourselves and our clients, we're utilizing it to just track the Google Ad callers. Then we also take it a step further here with an additional tracking number, which is now going to be for the Google Ad extension. So this is how we track people specifically from the Google Ad call extension. It's that little, that phone number, that button you see before you actually click through to the ad. There's like a call icon next to it in Google search. That's what's that going to be. And then we take it another step further. See how we're kind of isolating the sources here, the mediums, and we can actually see callers from the map ads, or as some people call it, the Google Business Profile ads. You can have additional phone numbers and tracking sources for perhaps Bing ads and Meta ads. You could also track your Google Business Profile calls against your Google website calls, against your Google ad extension calls, so you can kind of see how in-depth you can get. And even past just phone calls and number tracking, we're also going to be able to track forms, right? So we can also track all the forms that we get on our website, on our landing pages, and it will show us a lot of the same information, such as the source, the tracking number, where they came from, who they were, and all of that, which I will show you here in just one moment. Additionally, past the bread and butter of just being able to track and record calls and forms, you can also integrate with tons of channels and tons of platforms. So, of course, we have it installed on our client's website, and we obviously have it installed and integrated with all of our Google Ad accounts. This way you can send it back as conversions, and your Google Ads can optimize towards these leads. So you can see here we're actually sending these back as conversions to Google Ads, and you can do the same for Microsoft Ads. You can integrate it with your Google Business Profile, with your Meta Ads, and there's tons of other integrations just depending on how you use it or how you want to customize it to your liking. And obviously you can even build out like custom Zapiers and webhooks depending on how complex you want this to be. Again, CallRail, you can make it as simple as you need it to be or as complex as you need it to be. It's totally up to you. We're kind of in that happy medium where it's a little complex but still a little simple, and it's what suits our needs best as well as our clients' needs. Let me show you an actual live example of how this works for a client of ours, both using call tracking and form tracking. So we're in what's called the activity tab, which is where you can pretty much see everything that's going on. So you can see the leads coming in, the calls coming in, the forms coming in, and we can dive a little bit deeper. So we're looking at the last 7 days here. A couple phone calls have came in from ads. For this client specifically, we're only tracking calls from ads. So you're not going to see any calls from Facebook ads, for example. You're not going to see any calls from their organic or their business profile. Everything you see here right now is purposely only showing you leads from their Google Ads because that's what we want to see. We care about their Google Ads, and the other stuff is just noise to us, right? So we're looking at only calls from Google Ads. We can see everything that's happened here. We can customize, what columns we want to see, what we don't want to see. I pretty much have everything on right now in this view, and that's fine. But if we scroll down, we can see first, obviously, the source of these calls. So all of these calls say Google Ads because they're Google ad calls. If you were tracking organic calls and Facebook ads and Microsoft ads and billboard ads or geofencing, then the source would say one of those things. But for us, all the sources here are Google Ads. Next, we can obviously see when the person called, how long the call was. This is actually super helpful because we're able to, pick out what's good and what's bad. Obviously, if there's a pattern of a bunch of calls less than a minute long, we know there was probably some sort of quality or irrelevancy issue with the ads or the leads we're getting. So as well, you can see right here, this call was 5 minutes, whereas all the others were roughly less than a minute long. So perhaps I need to do some dive into quality later today, see what's going on. Why are we getting a lot of low quality calls? Next, of course, we can go ahead and we can see the contact information. So this is gonna be like the caller ID of who called in, as well as their phone number and, again, the caller ID. So this is that layer of visibility I was talking about, where we can actually see a step further than just, okay, we had 9 calls this week. We can actually see, well, who called this week? Who were those 9 calls? Of those 9 callers, how many turned into an opportunity or how many turned into a job? So that's where you get that next layer of visibility. And then, of course, you can see the keywords, the medium, the campaign. They're not pulling through here, but if I were to go to some other ones, they would. But this is where you can actually even take it another step, exactly see, okay, what keyword is driving these leads, as well as some more information regarding the call transcript. Sometimes there's like some AI flags on it, like for example, what was being mentioned in the call? Are there any key terms spotted? Are there any automation set up here? Full transcript. You can also see their first touch point and lead creation milestones. So if this was not their first time clicking the website, you could see they first came from Facebook, then they visited organically, and then they finally called on the third touch point, which was a Google Ads visit. So again, you get a full breakdown of pretty much everything that's happening here, as well as the funnel. Additionally, you can also see the text conversations and the forms. I'll show you the forms as well as another example. So scrolling down, it's a pretty similar setup. You can see the contents of the form so we can know exactly what they're looking for, their contact information, and furthermore, we can see where they're coming from. So this form was actually from their organic Instagram. That's interesting. That's good to know. Whereas these 2 forms were from their Google Ads, and we can, again, see what keyword triggered them, what campaign triggered them, right? So you can really take a pretty good deep dive here into what is driving conversions, what are driving leads, and what are driving actual opportunities and purchases, as well as revenue. So you get a really good deep dive here into your sales, into your lead gen efforts, into your marketing efforts, and it's perfect. I'd say the actual setup of CallRail is quite simple. If it's your first time ever using it and you're really maybe not the most tech savvy, you might have some troubles, but they obviously have some great tutorials. Their customer support is super good. They can usually help walk you through it and all that stuff. But again, it really is as simple as you need it to be or as complex as you need it to be. It's entirely up to you on how you want to utilize the platform. And then of course, actually navigating the platform can be a little tricky. Sometimes there's a lot of buttons. I know, like looking at this screen here, for example, like there are a lot of things you want to go to, especially once you go to the home tab or you go to the reports tab. All of a sudden you're just kind of hit with all of these random filters and options and buttons. And then on the left-hand side, all the integration. So yeah, it can be a little overwhelming at times, maybe if it's your first time using it. But honestly, like 90% of it kind of is noise. As someone who's been using it for 3 years now across, I don't know, I think we have 50 active clients using CallRail. We probably only use like 50% of the features. The other 50%, I've never even clicked on. I don't even know what they are. But again, going back to what I keep saying is you can utilize whatever components you want. It is entirely as simple as you want it to be or as complex as you need it to be. There's definitely a learning curve for probably the first couple weeks getting used to it. Maybe yourself or having your team utilizing it for keeping track of the leads, monitoring the leads, pulling reports, and obviously the initial setup. But once it's set up, you're good, they're solid, and from there on out, it's just doing its job day in, day out. But yeah, they have some good tutorial videos for the learning curve, but honestly, it's perfect, and I highly recommend it. I mean, we're using it across pretty much all of our home service clients, and we even do have it on a couple e-commerce clients that are in higher ticket spaces that usually have like a lead to sales prospect or lead to sales funnel, but you can definitely get any use of it out. As for the pricing here, I'm looking at the monthly plan. It does start at $55 a month if you're looking for just one business, which I would assume is most of you. Of course, if you are an agency and you are watching this, do note that they have a separate agency plan that is super fair and it scales very, very well. I don't know exactly what it is. You'd actually have to contact them if you are an agency, but they have a really fair agency plan. However, if you are a business owner looking to open this for your business, I would highly recommend looking into the lead tracking complete plan because it does include forms and a couple other tools which you are going to need. Now, if 90% of all your leads come in are phone calls, like I said at the beginning of this video, you can absolutely get away with the $55 a month plan, which is just their basic lead tracking plan. But again, it pretty much has everything you need. For the lead tracking complete, you're just paying a little bit extra to have that visibility and conversion data for your forms. But again, only do this if you get a significant amount of forms. Otherwise, if pretty much all of your leads are calls, if you get a pretty fair split, go with this one. Then their other two plans are a little bit more optional, lead conversion, and the other one just kind of tie in some more premium features as well as a lot of their newer AI features. So I'd say if you're a little bit of a larger company or you're spending a lot more on ads, perhaps more than $4K a month on ads, and you just want a whole nother layer of visibility and features, then you can go ahead and decide between these two. Otherwise, if you're looking to just track calls or just track calls and forms, pretty much between these two. And of course, if you do the yearly or the annual plan, it does come down a little bit. I don't think the savings are that significant. I would probably go with the monthly, especially early on, just to feel it out. So just keep that in mind. Now, if you are looking to utilize or get CallRail for your business or for your clients, I do have the link below in this description. It is, of course, my affiliate link, but hey, by using it, you get $100 and I get $100. I say that's a win-win. Otherwise, please comment below any questions you have further about the platform, about CallRail, or any of its features. I'd be more than happy to go a little bit more in depth. I know I have a couple other videos that cover this from different perspectives, different angles, and all are live account videos showing you inside my clients and my own CallRail, so you can really kind of get some good feelings for it. But honestly, I love CallRail. I've used a couple other of their competitors and other platforms. This is the simplest of all of them, but still packs in all of the primary features, and it's obviously, I would say, very much worth the cost and very reasonably priced. So again, link below if you want to sign up for CallRail. You can start your 14-day free trial as well as get your $100 gift card. And hey, guess what? I'll get a $100 gift card too. Again, thank you guys so much for watching, and comment below any questions you might have. Thank you.